Hello everyone, welcome back to our YouTube channel Dental Mnemonics, the channel where learning is smart and fun. We are again back with another episode of our Cracking Neville's Oral Pathology series, and today we are diving into a very important syndrome known as Gardner Syndrome. Our channel is unique because we relate each topic to something that is very memorable, imagery or objects so that you'll never forget it. So let's begin. So we relate Gardner syndrome to a garden full of mushrooms. So it almost feels like a forest as you can see it in the figure. So let's break down our first mnemonic, starting with forest. Here the F stands for Familial Adenomatous Polyposis. Gardner syndrome is actually a variant of this condition. Coming to the O, it stands for Osteomas, Odontomas and osseous lesions. It is said that most patients with Gardner syndrome demonstrate between 3 and 6 osseous lesions. Now let's break down the rest into two parts, the RE and ST. The RE here stands for retinal epithelial hypertrophy. These are pigmented lesions of the ocular fundus, also known as congenital hypertrophy of the retinal pigment epithelium or CHRPE, which is evident in 75% of patients with familial adenomatous polyposis. Coming to ST, it stands for supernumerary teeth. So just with the acronym FOREST, we can remember some common findings in Gardner syndrome. Now remember we said the forest was full of mushrooms, so let's explore that imagery further. The white mushrooms here symbolize all the radiopaque structures seen in Gardner syndromes like osteomas and odontomas, which we already discussed. Also notice the mushrooms are kind of divergent and impacted, right? So this reminds us of another dental feature, which is impacted teeth. Moreover, the mushroom also have a cap, and that brings us to another acronym, CAP, which stands for Coli Adenomatous Polyposis. So from the F in forest, we learned that it is a familial adenomatous polyposis. Now with the mushroom cap, we remember adenomatous polyposis coli. Also, the mushroom which has the red cap, it says that I am also a type of a mold, because we know that mushrooms and molds are both fungi, mushroom being the fruiting body and molds growing as thread-like filaments. So here the MOLD reminds us of two MOID lesions found in Gardner syndrome, first being the epidermoid cyst and second being the desmoid tumors. Also in this slide I would like to state that the mutation here in the APC gene is on chromosome number 5q21. At the end of the video, I have a very helpful mnemonic that will help us to memorize this chromosome number. Now moving to our next slide. As you have probably noticed that I love throwing in a bit of general knowledge to make our studies more fun and interesting, right? So even in this image, like we see a mushroom coral polyp. These are tiny tentacled animals that lives on surface of a mushroom-shaped coral. And in the next image we see abdominal polyps, which are hallmark and most dangerous consequence of Gardner syndrome. So here's a cool chain of association. Mushroom, that is the coral polyp, and intestinal polyp in Gardner syndrome. Because patients are at markedly increased risk for colorectal cancer. They develop hundreds to thousands of adenomatous polyps in the colon, and if left untreated, these almost always progress to colorectal cancer. So patients may have symptoms such as diarrhea, constipation, rectal bleeding, anemia, and abdominal pain. Now remember the chromosome mnemonic I promised. So let's bring our forest back again with FORAST. At first I said that F stands for familial adenomatous polyposis. Now here the F stands for 5. And see the number O, like it resembles kind of Q, right? Reminding us about the Q arm of a chromosome, because we know that Each chromosome has a short arm P and a long arm Q, and O looks more like Q, right? So F stands for 5, O stands for Q, and now coming to rest, R-E-S-T. So let's imagine resting in a forest, breathing in the fresh oxygen, and we know that oxygen makes up 21% of the air, which leads us to the number 21. So to sum up, the chromosome in Gardner syndrome is 5q21. Just to summarize, we write the forest, the F stands for 5, the O looks quite similar to Q, so 5q, and for rest, like it's resting in a forest full of oxygen, and we know that oxygen concentrates around 21%, and just for the fun fact, nitrogen has the highest concentration, which is 78%. So from rest we can know that the number 21. So to sum up, the chromosome number is 5q21. So before I end the video, likewise for other videos, like I have a summing up table. So our overall mnemonic was forest and mushroom, in which the F stands for Familial Adenomatous Polyposis, O stands for Osteomas, Odontomas and osseous lesions. The RE stands for Retinal Epithelial Hypertrophy, or it is also acronymed as CHRTE. The ST stands for Supernumerary teeth, and in the mushroom, in the figure we saw those white mushrooms, so it signifies the radiopaque lesions, and they were kind of divergent and impacted, so that comes to another dental feature, which is the impacted teeth. And the mushroom, it had a red cap. The CAP acronym was for Coli Adenomatous Polyposis, and the mushroom said that I am also a type of a mold. So the MOLD stands for 2 MOID lesions, which stands for epidermoid and desmoid tumors, and there was a visual link to associate mushroom coral polyps with adenomatous polyposis. And for the chromosome part, the F here stands for the number 5, O looks similar to Q, so 5Q, and resting under oxygen, as forest gives us oxygen and the concentration of oxygen is 21%. So the chromosome that is included in Gardner syndrome is chromosome number 5q21. So that's the end of the video today. I hope this made your understanding of Gardner syndrome easier, with a forest full of mushrooms to guide the way. If there's any topic or mnemonic you would like us to cover in any field of dentistry, feel free to leave a comment below. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. So since today we discussed about forest, so I'd like to end it with a related quote. John Muir said that the clearest way into the universe is through a forest wilderness. So stay curious, stay sharp, and see you in the next video. Thank you.